Hello, this is the Data Analysis Formation of Tables video, where we'll be taking a look at some key points to be aware of when organizing our collected data into the format of a table, and practice making our own tables from a random set of data. A good rule to keep in mind when making tables is you always want to keep your tables tall and not wide whenever you make a new change. This right here is an example table. And if I was to add E to this table, E adds under D, so the table grows taller. So it would look something like this. The problem with having a table that grows wide, like this one here, is that as you add more changes, the data might become harder to see. For example, this table here is showing 10 different amounts of water in a wide table. As you can see, space gets pretty cramped. And this is 10 different amounts of water in a tall table. As you can see, there is a clear difference. This rule is a simple rule that is quite helpful in some ways. For the very first table you use, you can call the table Table 1. If this is a second table, you can name it Table 2. This way you can call the table by its number, like look at Table 1 or in Table 1, when you want to mention a certain table. And if you have multiple tables in a row, you don't confuse which data comes from which table. You can also put the units next to the trial number and averages so that you don't repeat putting your units, like milliliters, after every point of data. After giving your table a number, give it a name that describes what the experiment was about. If you boiled water, did you measure the temperature or did you measure the time? By giving your table a name that describes the experiment, it becomes a little more clear about what this table is talking about. Sometimes your set of data or your raw data can be either written out or given to you in a table format. The table format is known as a raw data table. A raw data table is basically a table that hasn't been touched whatsoever. It does not have an average or any other calculations that you might have to do with your data to make a conclusion. To quickly recap averages, remember that averages are simply all data points added divided by the number of data points. Your calculated averages will be put in their own column named averages. When you are organizing your data into a table, you might find that a number is too high or too low. This is known as an outlier, and you might think about and mention how an outlier came to be. Was it because you accidentally forgot to add something, or you put too much water in a mixture? Note this down separately, as this can be helpful in writing a conclusion. A student ran an experiment where she recorded the time it took for 3 different brands of chocolate, brand 1, 2, and 3, to melt. She ran 3 trials, melting 3 same-sized chocolates of each brand. Brand 1 chocolates took 30 seconds, 34 seconds, and 28 seconds. Brand 2 chocolates took 26 seconds, 28 seconds, and 28 seconds. Brand 3 chocolates took 35 seconds, 37 seconds, and 42 seconds. Create a table to show the data. Note that because this is the first table made in the practice examples, we can number it as Table 1, and the name, type of chocolate, and average time for chocolate to melt clearly explains what the table is about by describing the experiment. If the student tries the experiment with brand 4, the table adds under brand 3, so tall, not wide. The seconds unit is written in the trials for neatness and simplicity. A student ran an experiment where he measured the pH of different types of fruits, lemons, oranges, and watermelons. He dips 5 blue litmus papers into each fruit juice he squeezes out of the fruits, and compares the resulting paper to a color chart to figure out the pH. The data that was collected is presented as a raw data table. Create a table including the averages to show the data. Note that because this is the second table made in the practice examples, it is numbered as Table 2. The name Juices of different fruits and average pH level clearly explains what the table is about by describing the experiment. If the student tries an experiment with apples, the table adds under the watermelon, so tall, not wide. The unit, pH, is written within the trials for neatness and simplicity. This marks the end of the data analysis formation of tables video.